Hey everybody, Susan here with Pumpkin House Stampers. I have a Stampin' Show and Tell project to share with you today, and I'm going to be using this fun celebration set, Awesome Otters. Now, Celebration is a 2-month promotion happening January and February, where for every $50 order that you place, you get to earn a free item, and this set is one of those free items. And then I'm pairing it today with this really fun paper. They call it Simply Marvelous. It comes in 6 different colors. It's 6x6 sheets, and I am using this blue one here to simulate water. So that one's kind of fun. So if you have any questions about Celebration, how it works, you can always send me a comment or email me, and I will help you navigate how to take advantage of this fun promotion. But today I'm going to recreate this sample card from the catalog in my own way, turning it the other way, and I'm going to show you all the steps that I did to get it done. So some fun stamping and techniquing, and I'll take you through it step by step. Okay? Alright, so first off, I started with the Simply Marvelous paper. I cut it down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so it's the same size as my card front. Okay, so I did that. Then I used 2 dies. I used the Picture This die, okay, which is what cuts all the circles for me. Okay, a die cut all the circles for me. And I used the Stitched with Whimsy outline, which has this fun, let's show you this way, has this fun kind of curved overlapping edge. Okay, so when I'm done running that through my cutting tool, I end up with this piece here, okay, along with all of the die cut circles. Now, sometimes you would just use these die cut circles maybe in a different project, but we're actually going to put them back in on this project as we work. Okay, so I'll show you that. So here is my, I've just got a plain white base. I'm going to put this on top, and then we're going to fill in all these circles with this fun art. Okay? Alright, so that was the first die cutting I did. So we can set that aside for just a moment. Now, I'm going to have to create my little otters here. So I'm using Memento ink because I'm going to color with my blends, and I'm going to ink up the one that's floating on his back and stamp him like that. And then I've got the one where he's kind of bobbing in the water. Okay, and I'm going to stamp him. Now, I'm going to do some more stamping, but before I do it, I want to clean my stamp off. So I'm just going to spritz my Stampin' Scrub, clean off my 2 otter stamps real quickly, and you'll see why in just a minute. Actually, I didn't need to clean the other one, but that's okay. Alright, so they're clean when I need them again. So now I've got my otters. They've dried a little bit. Let's go ahead and color them. I'm using Crumb Cake Dark and Light. I'm also using Crumb Cake Light. Then I'm using Soft Suede Light and Dark to color in my otter. So I'm starting with my lightest color, and I'm going to do his kind of belly section. Alright. And I'm going to tell you now, I'm not going to worry about coloring in the water because we're going to trim him out. So we're not going to need to worry about the stuff around him. The other thing I'm going to show you is that because I'm going to cut out these fun guys, I'm not going to worry about my outside edge very much either. I'm going to go ahead and color right outside the lines because when I trim it, I'd either end up with a little white edge along there, but if I color outside the line when I trim them out, I won't have a white edge. It'll be color matched to the image. So I want to be careful on the inside. I want to make sure all my little details aren't too messed up and blurry crossing the lines, but on the outside I don't have to go quite so delicately. So I do all these little paws in here, and then I'm going to do his little face. I'm going to put the darker soft suede on his nose. So go right around, leaving his eyes as white as I can. But then when I'm coming down the edge of his body, I'm not worried about that outside edge because when I trim it with my paper snips, I'm going to trim it right off. Inside edge, be more careful with. See how nicely he just colors up with the two-tone markers? So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Nice and easy on the inside lines, not so worried about the outside lines. Now I am going to try to leave my water droplets there on his belly white. That way they'll show in contrast when I put them back on the card, because they're a little too hard to color around. Alright, so there's my bodies. I'm going to do his dark little nose. And then I use my color lifter to give him little dimples. So you don't necessarily need to, but I'm just going to do a little dot on each cheek. Right? And those will fade out a little bit to give him little dimples. Okay, and then I'm using smoky slate to give this fish just a little bit of color. Alright, so there we go. There's our coloring. So now I would take my paper snips and I would do the fussy cutting, and I've done that already to save time. So I've got my little otters, and did you see I cut right along the baseline here and I went all the way around him, and you can see there's no white around his edges because they're colored in. Okay, so there's that. Now moving right along. In the sample they've got this fun little green grass poking up. So I've got some, I'm using Granny Apple Green, and this is how I did it. Ever make fringe in Girl Scouts? I bet you did. Paper fringe. So I'm just going to use my scissors and I'm going to kind of cut down at angles, right, and just kind of trim some fringe grass to use in my creation, right? You don't have to have anything fancy necessarily. Maybe you have a die cut that does something similar for another set you can use, but if not, you can just make your own with your paper snips, little scrap of paper, and do some fringe cutting. So there's my little grass. Okay, I've also already cut and die cut the expression on vellum, okay, and I used this label from Tasteful Labels to give me this little banner, so we're going to use that on our card near the end. Alright, now to recreate the card. Okay, so these are going to get all put together. These little holes are going to go back in where they came out. Okay, going to go right back in. So by using them as the background piece, my background colors, even in the holes, are going to match the front. But now this one is going to get this guy stamped on it. So I'm going to take him out. I'm going to stamp him on there. Okay, and then he's going to go in this hole. This guy is going to get the full body, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp him here. Now the reason I'm stamping them on there, even though I'm going to put the cut dies on there, is because they've got these extra little lines of texture and scenery on them, so I don't want to lose that. I want to have that as part of what's going on. Alright, so there's those guys. Now these ones in between, you could just leave them blue, but we're going to take them out and we're going to add a little more stamping to them. Now this is why I needed my ink cleaned off of my stamp. So I'm going to use this guy that has his head poking up. So I'm going to clean him again real quick. Now what I want to do, you could do it with a marker, but I'm going to do it with my pad, is I only want to ink the water lines on him. So I want to kind of avoid or omit my little critter. Okay, so I just put ink on that part of my stamp. And now I'll do this big one first. I'm just going to stamp some lines in there just to create some scenic lines. And see, I'm just going to do that one upside down because no one's going to know by the time I put it in my card. Now the same thing on these little guys, just to add a little bit of scenery. Okay, just going to use the corner. So now everything's got a little bit of stamping on it. Alright, let's put it together. So here are all my little pieces. Alright, all my little pieces. So I'm going to start by putting this one up on dimensionals. Why am I using dimensionals? Well, I want the circles that were die cut to be pushed down into where they came out to create the scene of critters below. And I want there to be a layer, kind of a pop-up between them, so they really look like they're being spotlighted. So this is a fun die to use if you want to do some spotlighting. So there's all my little dimensionals, peel off all my little backs, and then you want to be able to square this to the front of your card because it's the same size as my card base. If that's difficult for you, you could always trim it down a little bit and leave a little bit of an edge, but we're going to do our best here. So I'm just going to place this on the edge of my card, put it down. Okay, so there's that. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to add my critter to my circles. So I'm going to use my liquid glue. Okay, I don't need a lot. It's going to come out for me. Let's see. Usually I tap it before I start. There. So just a little bit of liquid glue. And I'm going to put him right on his bubble. And then the bubble I'm going to put into one of the circles. Oh, and look what I did. I put it on backwards, but that's okay. We'll just rework the card. So see, this guy was over here before, now he's over here. Because that's the way I put this base on. And that's the way it opens. But that's okay, we're not going to worry about that. So I'm now going to add my floating otter. And I'm going to put that on this one. Now, what do I want to do with this guy? I want to trim him. Okay, because I don't want his tail, when I put him in there, to be sticking out a different hole. So I'm just going to turn this over and just trim the circle right around. That way I'm only using the part I need. Okay? Put a little glue on that and pop that one into the hole as well. So, just push them down in and adhere him. Now these guys I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in the circles, and I'm just going to layer those in like puzzle pieces. Okay, just push them down in, adhere them. Here's my last one. Now, what about this grass fringe, right? Okay, so what I want to do is I want to just kind of poke these down and then adhere them. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue here. Are you with me? And then I'm just going to slide this in and press it down. Okay, I'm doing another one. Just a little bit of adhesive. Slide it under and adhere it. And this last one is going to go down here. So a little bit of adhesive. Slide it in. Position it and stick it down. Okay, so now all we've got left is our little sentiment. Okay, and like I said, I stamped it on vellum and die cut it with the labels die, and now I'm just going to put him in here. Now, something I want to do is I want to put the underneath a little bit so I can kind of add the hide the adhesive. So I'm just going to run a bead, very thin bead, right there, and then I just did the little points. 1, 2. Now that seems like a very little adhesive, but it's vellum, it's not super heavy. And then I'm just going to slide that under my circle edge and press that down, hold it for a moment or two. Remember to let the ink on the vellum dry completely because sometimes it'll smudge. So either heat set that or let it really sit for a while. And there we go, I've recreated the card. Obviously, not exactly the way I did the first one because I put my die on upside down, but that's okay. I still made a really cute card. So if you enjoyed it, leave me a comment. I love seeing your comments. If you have some fun circle dies, you can create your own little pattern, or if you really love the way this one is all laid out, you could go ahead and get the Picture This dies from the annual catalog. And the other one that comes with that are these rectangles. So there's actually 2 dies in that pack, one with circles, one with rectangles. And if you do it before the end of February, you can pick up a fun promotion item from the Celebration catalog. Alright everybody, like I said, all the Directions will be on my blog, so find that link in the memo below. And if you want to shop with me online, that's greatly appreciated. Again, the link to my store is below and on my blog. And if you have any questions, you can leave me a comment here, or you can email me at susan@pumpkinhillstampers.com, and I will be happy to get back to you. All right, everybody, enjoy some fun stamping today, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.